Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Spicy Dice Boys. This is Zach, and I'll be your host again for another battle report from Brawler Bash 2024. This is round two. The Wood Elves are currently in second place, and we've drawn the Dwarves again. The mission in this round is holding table quarters for bonus VP at the end of the game. The overall format is 2,000 points, with only really kill points mattering for placing. You can lose all 5 games as long as you slaughter tons of stuff. You're good to go. Um, yeah, my list does remain unchanged, but I'll go ahead and walk you through it real fast. I do have a Glade Lord on a dragon, kind of an offbeat build early on in the format. No ward save besides a charm shield, just a dragon slaying sword, and kind of relying on not giving any strength bonuses to opponents to kind of keep it alive. Not something that I would run nowadays, but seemed okay at the time. Level 4 Spellweaver, groups of scouts with either arcane bodkins or poison, so a little armor piercing or poison. Um, 3 units of wild riders and unit of sisters with an eagle. My dwarf opponent, um, they went with an anvil of doom with some runes of spell breaking, a king on shield bearers with some trimmings of rune of preservation, smiting, and fury. There's a Thane BSB with the master rune of Grungy for a ward save for everybody. Um, Lots of MSU groups of quarrelers, rangers, thunderers all over the place. 4 single gyrocopters, and then I think 2 or 3 groups of iron drakes with troll hammers on each of them for those mini cannons. Being this is one of the first old world events that many of us played in, there was a lot of mistakes that I'm kind of catching now with fresh eyes, looking back at the reports, and even while we were playing, most games only got like 5 turns in because folks were kind of working through the rules, trying to keep 8th edition versus old world straight, and trying to help each other out with some of the rules that were coming up. But yeah, I do recommend kind of taking pictures of your games, going over them later, because you do spot some stuff that you may have missed at the time, and no one plays perfectly. So we're all here to improve. So this first picture is kind of the deployment. I did take the picture after I did move up the dragon and the Glade Rider, so I'll kind of talk you through that. But the dwarves did vanguard up their gyrocopters. Having learned in my last game that you can charge after vanguards, I was a little wary to deploy too far forward. But most of the dwarven deployment is kind of MSU on one side of the table with the anvil kind of holding it down. There's a king in a group of quarrelers, kind of front and center. Unit of scouting rangers that deployed up. Um, yeah, a lot of tightly packed units there for the dwarves. I did deploy my wood elves far back from the dwarves to make sure that I wasn't going to get shot in case turn one went to the dwarves. Um, but yeah, for the wood elf deployment, like I said, the scouts and glade riders kind of occupied the wood that I brought. From left to right, it is kind of 4 units of archers, and then on the right hand side, all the Eagle and Wild Riders. Um, Kind of line up kind of where he was at just in case things started to move forward. Okay, so gyros were on either flank. I kind of noticed that there was 2 gyros on the right, kind of hiding behind the hill. A little wary about letting them kind of fly in like I did in the last game, so I tried to keep them in front of me and did my best to kind of zone out the ones on the left and try to ignore them the best as possible. So this is turn one for the Wood Elves. Um, I did actually take some of the feedback from the comments about adding some kind of visual aids into the battle report, and definitely taking some better pictures. I'll do that, in the future. But hope some of the additions help. Let me know what you guys think and if what you guys would like to see. But for the Wood Elf turn, the dragon does move up into position to kind of threaten the left side of the dwarven line. My eagle does fly up on the right hill to kind of threaten the right side of the line, get some line of sight. And I did grow a wood in front of the rangers to try to block off some of their line of sight. But the Wood Elf shooting generally concentrated on the gyrocopter that was front and center in front of the dragon. I did kill that gyrocopter and then continued to shoot at the Thunderers that were behind it. Those Thunderers did take heavy casualties and they did panic and they fled off the board. I cannot remember if it was supposed to be a fallback in good order that we maybe missed or if it was a real panic. But there's likely mistakes that happen. Um, but yeah, so no, that was unexpected to kind of have that group run. Um, So I was kind of happy with the first turn for the Wood Elves. So going to the bottom of turn 1 for the Dwarves, the left gyrocopter pulls back, tries to come help support what the dragon is going to be doing in the center there. Uh, Everybody kind of reforms and turns and starts to focus the shooting onto the dragon with 2 units of Iron Drakes, Rangers, and the Quarrelers. Pretty much all that MSU just starts dumping into the dragon. The Anvil of Doom is giving out those extra armor saves. That whole bubble over there has got ward save for shooting. And my eagle on the right hand side is shot off the board by the gyrocopters and probably any of those Iron Drakes. I don't think they needed it. That eagle was not going to be around long. But yeah, this is actually pretty early in the game, top of Wood Elf 2, where the game kind of started to fall apart for the dwarves here. Um, the Wood Elf Dragon did charge the Quarreler unit that had, I believe, the King and the Thane in it. Um, the unit did not have the runes of courage or fear, which I guess you need to make them immune to the terror check. So he actually fails the terror check, and because we were new, we actually re-rolled it for the BSB. That's an old 8th edition thing that kind of crept in, and he failed it again. So we found out later that the BSB doesn't actually let you re-roll terror, but it was just crazy that he failed it twice. And when the unit fled, it actually bounced through a lot of the MSU here and never quite found a spot to land and just ended up running all the way off the board, which is pretty unfortunate for that big Death Star unit to just get right off the board from a terror. The Wood Elves really didn't need to move up much because you just want to stay outside of the shooting and just kind of let the dragon go to work. Um, yeah, so this is kind of a combined bottom of Dwarves 2, top of Wood Elves 3. The opponent and I were definitely talking about how the bad luck of the dice rolls were shaken out, and we kind of lost track of some of the photos. People around were kind of noticing like something crazy happened, so some people were kind of hovering around the table. Um, but yeah, so the dwarves for turn 2 was minimal shooting was done to the dragon, and folks were kind of just repositioning the rangers to get close up and try to do what they can. Um, on the Wood Elf turn 3, a lot of the Wild Riders were either blocked from charging or they failed to charge. One of the two. One unit of Wild Riders actually made it up on top of the hill to try to get some line of sight where the eagle was. Start to try to threaten some of those gyros and the flanks of all those little MSU dwarfs that are still alive. Oh, yep. And on the Wood Elf turn, the dragon does charge 1 unit of Iron Drakes and kills it, and is kind of positioned there to have his pick on what he wants to pursue into. Does he want to? I chose to restrain. I didn't want to go into those Iron Drakes. I wanted to kind of go for that anvil instead. That was kind of the goal. All right. So we are going to go to the bottom of Dwarf 3. The gyros on the right-hand side kind of get out of the way of the Wild Riders, get out of the line of sight. And the Rangers get in combat with the Wild Riders, and they do hold for both sets of turns, the Dwarf side and the Wood Elf side. On the Wood Elf turn 4, the Dragon does charge the Anvil of Doom and sticks in there with it. The Wild Riders charge off the hill and hit the Thunderers, I believe, that were right there. They do fall back in good order on the other side of the anvil. And minimal movement on the Wood Elf side, trying not to throw too much, away for free. And there's not too much to shoot at because most of the stuff is in combat. Onto the bottom of Dwarf 4, the gyros do charge the Wild Riders on the bottom of the screen to help out the Rangers, and the gyrocopter on the top side charges the Wild Riders that were just killed the Thunderers. I do believe that both ended up giving ground. Nope, it looks like a fall back in good order. I think they both fell back in good order. Um, One took heavy casualties there at the bottom, and the other one on top looks pretty healthy there. The dragon does actually beat the Anvil of Doom in combat and reforms to face the kind of last unit of Iron Drakes. The dragon does have 2 wounds left on it after all the beating it's taken. Um, and at the top of the Wood Elf 5, the dragon actually flies over top of the Iron Drakes, try to avoid a stand and shoot and try to save some of the points there. Nothing really eventful happened for the Wood Elves, just trying to move in to grab some of the table quarters. But the end of the dwarf turn, the Trollhammer Torpedo actually snags the dragon, kills those last 2 wounds off, and gets the rest of the points for that. Um, and the gyros do shoot down some wild riders to get some partial points. So that was basically the game. It was pretty clear early on with again that King Thane unit running off the board. That was kind of one-sided. We did go through the motions for the rest of the turns, although it was a little sloppy with some of the movement and photos a little bit. We were kind of my opponent was kind of mailing it in, but he was a good sport about it. The Wood Elves ended up with 2,227 kill points, and the Dwarfs took home 1,043. That keeps the Wood Elves up in second place still, with a tough round 3 matchup coming up with an old 8th edition legend. Teasing that one a little bit, but yeah, that'll be coming out shortly. Yeah, some new content should be coming shortly. We have an event in January 25th in, I think it's Ashburn, Virginia. Little 1-day 3-round event over there. Gonna meet some friends and play in that one. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.